All right, so we have an agenda. We should stick to it. The GMT update. So although I have 24/7 on my time right now, because I'm doing a sabbatical in Oxford without my family, so I just work 7 days a week. I've been working mostly with Tony on research, so I haven't been cranking on GMT as much. So I've been sparsely fixing bugs, although I did just fix one. Hopefully Dong can approve it, or maybe have already. So there's been some bug fixes since last community meeting, which must be 2 months ago now, due to the travel, something like that. And there's been a bunch of documentation improvements. We are saying bye-bye to Vercel for the pre-building and checking the changes to the documentation when we make changes in the documentation code, because their free plan is going away. There are a bunch of issues that are sort of stale, I would say. We have stale issues like long format options. That's on me. Haven't made any progress on that. Well, I haven't tried anything, so that's been sitting there. Refactoring, I had a lot of discussion about what that means with several stakeholders, and we'll continue that discussion. I'm heading to Liverpool in a week or so over Easter to talk to the man himself. We'll get some feedback from what's happening up there. Anything I left out important, Megan, about GMT update? Probably.
No, that's it. We did. I think you put in a new supplement module since our last meeting, so we do have features as well, right? That was since February.
Yeah, that's right. There's a new module in the potential supplements for geopotential over prisms. And I think Joachim got inspired to update one of his modules to do variable density. Did that finish?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's some improvement.
Except that, well, what was it? I did not have a case to compare against your prisms. Right. So it looks correct.
Yeah.
It does not look okay. It does not look wrong.
Yes, that's very important. That's the first step of testing. It shouldn't look wrong. And then ideally it should look right. And then the third test is to actually compare to some known case and see that it's actually exactly correct. So maybe you and I should come up with a little tests to make sure it sort of works.
Well, it gives the same thing, because I don't know what analytic for that. We don't have one. But to prove it's correct, it's harder for this case.
We can do a comparison with prisms for very small delta X, delta Y. It should converge, right?
So yes, one of the was the GMT GRD. No, one of the models. Yes, I added the variable density option to read the grid with a variable. Add the option to read a grid with a variable density. It already had one to read a grid with magnetizations.
Yep.
Well, a grid of magnetizations, so it was an extent of it.
Right. Yeah. So we've got to highlight these things when we release 6.4, which is sort of the next topic here. We do want to get 6.4 out. We usually take too long to actually get things out when we decide to do it. So I guess there's some critical bug fixes we should do before we sort of freeze. The one I know about is the regression on the alignments of the compass symbols. We have an issue on that where things aren't doing the right thing. So I have to look at that. Then there are some bugs that have been discovered since 6.3. The one I remember is insets within subplots is failing. And I'll have to look at those. They're always going to be bugs reported, but Megan made a point of, we should prioritize new bugs introduced since last release. Those should be fixed. And embellishment bug is one of those. But we can't always fix all the bugs before we release, because we'll never be done. So that's sort of the plan. This shouldn't take very long time. And if I sit down and spend a day on those 2 bugs, I should be able to fix those 2 bugs, I hope. Any other critical thing that any of you feel should be fixed before we do a 6.4?
Well, it's a bit related to this. It's not a bug fix, but is a old PR. That's something that will work only on Julia. Remember that texture imaging. There is code there. There is a WIP PR that is sitting there for 2 years or something, 1 year or something. That it can only be used by Julia because we don't have C code to access those subroutines to make the same thing. You would be needed to write programs. So yeah, is small, is not very large amount of code, and well, should consider if we would merge that. Well, it would only be used by Julia because Julia can call it the functions directly, and I have Julia functions to call them directly, so I can do that texture mapping from Julia, but not from the others, because from the GMT core thing, you would need to write programs to call them.
Could you, if you can find that issue, can you paste that into the chat or something? If you're able to remember where that is.
I have it up, so I'll drop it in the chat.
I can't find them, but it always takes me quite some time to find this thing.
We found it. It's in the chat now. Okay, I'll this texture mapping. Okay, I will look at that, Joachim, and remind myself what that was all about.
Yeah, there is a long series of posts in the forum with examples.
Yep.
Yeah, it was from the time that Christophe.
Yeah,
well,
Christophe
started this, and he was very interested.
Yeah.
And we don't know what happened to Christophe.
What happened to Christophe?
We saw commit in Git about almost a year ago. So, but he was the only one. So something, I don't know.
Yeah,
strange.
I keep telling
because he stopped responding. And,
yeah.
Well,
I just keep telling Magnet I should send him an email and checking that he's okay, but presumably he's okay or he's not around anymore. I mean, I don't know, in which case he won't answer his email. So, but I don't think we have insulted him in any way. He's a German. He can handle things. So, yeah, I don't know what's happening there. But
from my perspective for this pull request, I think it's really important that it can be used by GMT for it to go in the GMT code base. Otherwise, I think it should be compiled separately, and we can create a new small repository, and Julia should be able to call that, right? Yeah,
that's cool. That's a lot of work. If that was that simple, I would have done it already.
All right.
Because
so I agree. The texture shading is great. I just there's a lot of people who are using the GMT code base without using it through Julia, and it would be, I think, pretty critical to have a way to support all those people to use this code if it's bundled in there.
It should go in the core. It should be doable. Let me have a check. Bring myself up to speed on what that was all about again, and I can check with Joachim about what we'll do. Is that all right? All right. So
well, I'd really like to see Remco's color map feature from CMOcean get in for 6.4.
Yeah, we gotta bug him then, because he's clearly.
I think it's on us actually. I think that he's ready for a review, and we just haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. We can ping him and say, hey, we're thinking of doing 6.4. It'd be cool to get this thing in. So maybe he can carve out another half hour, from babysitting or something to get that done. Yeah. Any other things that we can remember that would be helpful to get in? Things that are helpful to the wrappers.
Just like this long-standing, was it cylindrical projection Q plug? Let me drop it in the chat.
Okay.
It's like, I'm not sure if it's like an easy fix or.
All right.
But it's been there since.
Matrix always work with central.
I think these wrapping issues are not easy fixes usually.
Yeah.
Been down this road before.
That's a reason it's been sitting there for 2 years. I know.
Okay. There's been many like this that I have worked on. Let's see.
There's,
So
yeah, there's been a few. I think we're slowly chipping away at the.
yeah.
At it.
I'm looking at my last comment from October 2020.
There's like
Okay.
another related one.
I see. All right. Okay, I will look at this and see if there's anything I can do, AG.
Okay.
That seems fair
Oh, yeah.
enough.
You can
I mean,
start
I'm familiar with that kind of thing. So usually it has to do with resampling or not, because if it's used as is, it has to be in increments of the grid spacing. So
Yeah.
for certain meridians, I can't do it without us doing a resampling. And we aren't doing that in GMT either, I think. So it's a little interesting. But I'll look at that again. That's a good time to review that. That's the problem with these really old issues. They just die, they get stuck, and they scroll off the front screen and out of sight, out of mind.
No, I totally understand. It's just Mark pinged us like 10 days ago. And he kind of reported it like.
Yeah, okay, good one. So I will look at all of those, what can be done. You know, it should be at least possible to make a decision if we can fix it or not. All right, anything else beyond that? All right, going once, going 3 times. Okay, so those are the things we would like to have done. Well, the texture mapping doesn't have to happen 6.4. We would like it to happen, but it may take longer than that, right? We're just going to determine how long that might take to implement. It's not a bug. It's a lack of a feature.
It's not a bug.
Yeah.
But,
So
there is nothing to implement more. There is nothing to implement more, and other than writing the equivalent C code for using it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I can write C code. That should be doable. That's all I do, Joachim, writing C code. All right. All right. So just a little bit information about the various non-GMT core projects. So we have GMT Max, GMT Julia, and PyGMT, and I thought we'd just have a very short little update on where we are on those things. So I'll start with GMT Max so you can see what I'm expecting here. So there has been no changes in a very long time in the MATLAB GMT1, other than minor fixes discovered. What I would like to see is for the macOS bundle to be built sort of like Windows, that it comes with what's needed for someone on the Mac who has MATLAB to use it. Right now, that is not so straightforward, but I know Joachim's doing this with the Windows bundle, right? It ships with MATLAB, but the user must have MATLAB to run it, right? Yeah. So it's just a sort of a shared library kind of thing. And I would like to get that done, because right now it's awkward for Mac people to use the GMT Max. They have to sort of have to
Linux.
And Linux is similar, but I'm figuring there's way more people on MATLAB on Windows and Mac than on Linux, my guess. But I might be wrong on that, of course. But what I am right on is that I don't spend much time in Linux with MATLAB. If I do Linux, it's usually something else. And but it's very similar issue there with the shared library problem. So anyway, I would like to make some progress on that, and that's pretty much on me. And maybe I'll interface with Joachim about this shared library business, since it clearly works for Windows.
There were some improvements in. Well, that is the story of the R path or something on the shared libraries. Yeah, and there was changes in the make in CMake or something. You never try to see if those that might have be related to the problem we have in there. And I also did one build of GMT bundle, in which I did not use official script because it built a lot of things. So I think I found a couple of lines that I could copy paste. And apparently that bundle does not have that problem.
Okay. Yeah, I know Dongdam looked at this too, that the whole thing about building the bundle and using it from PyGMT or Julia, I suppose, and also Max. it was issues, right? To use the bundle with PyGMT.
No, we cannot use it.
Can use it, right? And that's clearly just learning how to build the bundle correctly or something, right? With the library path. So that it's sort of a separate issue, right? That has to do with packaging that we need to figure out. And that hasn't progressed since I think Donggang posted something before he went to China, I'm sure. So that would be nice to do because that would benefit probably all the wrappers. We can have people use the bundle to use the wrappers.
Yeah, I think I put Dongdong's suggestion in a pull request, and we just have to try it out and see how it works. So there's you know, a path forward, hopefully.
Yeah,
I think I tried your pull request and it doesn't work.
it didn't work as it is.
Yeah, some
That's too
errors,
bad.
and I don't know how to fix it.
Yeah.
But at least we can have a script and which can, I mean, run the command I just posted 2 years ago, and then we can fix the bundle. I mean, after we create a bundle, then we fix it.
Right. Yeah, that's it's sort of similar to what I do for the MATLAB thingy, where I rename all the functions inside the shared libraries to avoid troubles. And here you're changing the path to our path or something like that, right? So it's you know, we shouldn't have to do it this way, but you know, if we can't figure out how to do it the right way, then at least that is a workable thing, and that will improve life for so many people. So okay, good. So we'll try to push on those two fronts.
Just out of curiosity, Joachim, when you said that you didn't use the script, is that the script in the admin directory that you thought included too many items?
Yes. Yes, something dependent on more things that I had on my old Mac, and just I don't remember how, but I picked the or I called CMake directly or NC directly, and I can't find the. Well, continue. I'll try to find the link for the bundle that I create, so you could try it.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see that. Thanks.
Just we can do some diagnostic and see what the differences are, right, with OTool or something. Yeah, it's irreproducible results are not useful. We got to be able to reproduce them.
Yeah.
All right. So that's, you know, mechs, where mechs are. There's no plans to do a modern mode thingy from mechs. I mean, it sort of works, I think, off the bat because it's just taking GMT commands. But the syntax is definitely command line. You know, it's closest thing to bash as we have, I think, just passing in the commands. Joachim, you want to say a few things about where Julia, GMT Julia is?
Okay. I think all the models, or all the models except the GRD mat and GMT mat, because those are terrible, no, and not really necessary most of the times, because we are in the programming language. You can do it with a more usual syntax than the reverse Polish. So those two are not, and I will not try to do them. Well, they work in kind of like the mix. You can make them work with the mix. Well, with the hard syntax, not with the long options syntax. So I think they are all. Maybe there is one. There is always some that I missed. So they are all wrapped. The supplements, several are wrapped, others are not. Don't remember them all by heart. The geopotential 3 or 4 are. The new ones, the prisms, the GRD FF, the Grav FFT, the GRD Grav Mag, they are also Mecha and PS Mecha, and lots of GDAL, many of the GDAL tools, and many of the GDAL functions, and Proj, and also some extensions like having contour F, P-color, and things like that are, well, those are functions in MATLAB, but known ones. And for example, the P-color is the one that allows to plot non-regular grids and plot the text on it, this type of thing. So he has a lot of more of extensions and several things more, like for example the texture mapping, that are could be seen as extensions to GMT. So what's the main problem? Many of them many of those models only have a terse documentation. They don't have the expanded documentation because it's really every time I write a new documentation for one day, I will take at least 1 day or something, because I have to also document the options, and there are more than one option, and doing the conversion from one letter to a word. Well, it's a lot of work. So the main drawback is the documentation side. But the rest is a never-ending work, because many of them do not have expanded the options. Some have, others do not. So others you still have, although they have long options for all of them, long names, they are not expanded. I mean, you can have many options, and you can also expand that, and many are, and also many others are not. That was something to take years to accomplish.
Yeah,
otherwise, it works pretty well. That's basically when I have to do something, that's what I use all the time. Even if it is to generate the script, generate the GMT command that I will after passed in the command line.
Right. Do you have any plans for publication? Because I think it's important to.
Well, yes, it's important. That came that thing of the stories. I started to write. I wrote the abstract, and then I stopped. Came the sort of thing, and then I'm playing with the GMT SAR, and it's breaking my head with that, and the C shell scripts and the min.w that does not print on the std out, and a lot of things. So yes, I started. I actually started, but only wrote 10 or 20 lines.
Yeah, well, I'm bringing it up because I think if you can get a publication out, you will attract a lot of interest, and then you can get some help maybe with some of these things, right? Because right now it is pretty few people who are helping you, I think.
Yes, there were a couple of guys from Australia, one from Macau and the other one from Australia, but for some time they made some changes, and then they were interested, but for some months they have no news from them.
Yeah. So I would, if I were you, I would prioritize writing something up and have it published. You know, whether you need a paper or not, it's just a good to do, I think, to spread the word. All right, PyGMT guys, I'm not sure who wants to lead on this, or everybody.
I can say that yesterday we found out that, well, I haven't posted this yet, but I got an email that our SciPy abstract for a talk was accepted. So I'll be giving an in-person talk in July, and those are always recorded by the conference and published on YouTube. And then Weiji and Dongdong have been more active on the GitHub repository lately than me, so I'll let them talk about any of the technical updates.
Before you move that, can you tell me when the SciPy week is this year?
It's the week after UNAVCO, so that must be like the 11th or so.
Oh, yeah, okay, week after UNAVCO. I don't remember that either. That's good. Yeah, I know it wasn't clashing. It's important because, you know, summit plans and things like that, we've got to carve out time. All right, Weiji or Dongdong, you want to sort of say where you are and what the challenges are, or something like that?
Dongdong is pushing for a 0.6.1 release, I guess. Do you want to say something, Dongdong?
Yeah, so we had the 0.6 release in the maybe last month, and we are going to have the 0.6.1 maybe in the next few days. It's just a patch release which fixes I think there are some bugs in PyGMT, and in the last release we have wrapped two new functions, triangulate and do it history equal these two modulus, and mostly we work on the refactoring of some functions. Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys depend on 6.4 coming out first, or is that going to be any issue at all?
We don't expect it till the end of the year, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah, we won't be like depending on 6.4 stuff. I don't think, yeah, probably not.
So I think we
no,
definitely
0.8.
wouldn't want 6.4 before the patch release, because we usually only support one version of GMT, and you want to bump that for a minor release rather than a patch release. Also, there's no chance that we're going to release 6.4 in the next few days, so it's a bit of a moot point. But I think for 6.4 coming out before the next PyGMT release could be nice, because there's a pull request for supporting loading in Earth Gebco, and that is reliant on a bug fix since 6.3.
Yeah. Well, we can also like technically like have support both versions, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's something we could it would be worth thinking about, because there are sometimes regressions, and supporting both versions would be nice if anyone needs to downgrade GMT for a particular feature that happened to break, like for example that vectors bug fix that we just put in. So but that's something we could talk about more on GitHub.
So we recently updated all the data sets. Is that how's that working for the wrappers? I guess everybody's happy. Have you noticed that the new data files are out? So not supposed to be noticeable, other than comparing.
We've decided we're gonna fix to a static grid at this point in time, and then just use that for our tests rather than have a moving target.
Yeah, because they're going to change all the time. Yeah, we have sort of same issues, I guess, with the core. If we Sand will update this grid once a year or more often, that's going to be, it's never going to end, right? So it's going to continue to be updated, which is good. It gets better, but it does mess up tests. Okay, all right. So that's all good. EGU coming up. There's stuff going on, right? I think.
Yep. So EGU, we're giving a short course. Me, Megan, Leo, and Andreas. We're gonna make some tutorials. There's like a repo open already. Nothing much on that right now, but yeah. So I think we're just gonna work asynchronously on that, because everyone's on. I think everyone's going on holidays.
Right. Yeah.
The rest of the month, and it's
coming.
Yeah, it's a bit hard to meet up, but I think the idea is we'll just like sort of patch everything together, and hopefully, and this will be like a pre-recorded 1.5 hour long short course.
Okay. Interesting.
So, yeah. So we'll probably do like a 10-minute intro, and then 4 times 20-minute sort of slots. So that makes up 1.5 hours, and then I don't know, play it during the meeting, and then maybe have some interaction somehow if they're gonna, I don't know how EGU is gonna be like this year.
Right.
But this is all gonna be like, I think from our side, it's mostly just gonna be virtual.
Yeah. So EGU, do they allow people to watch these things after? You have to be a member of the EGU member or sign up for the conference? I mean, is it dead after the conference, basically?
That's a good question. I think I was having trouble finding some of the videos from last year. Like I could see there were like some talks that were public, but it seemed like it's hard to like search for like the actual content.
Yeah.
Like people's like posters or stuff.
Yeah, I noticed.
Last year.
Yeah, I gave my EGU GMT talk earlier this year, I guess, and I think that's unless you can log in as a member or something, no one's gonna see these things ever. So it's a little bit frustrating. With I guess EGU is probably similar, but what are you gonna do? It's some exposure at the meetings.
Yeah, we could also look into whether we can upload the YouTube or the video that we create to YouTube as well.
Yeah.
Since it's something we're producing on our own.
Right.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it might be some copyright
a few
issues.
months, hold it off for a few months and then we can publish it after.
Yeah.
Just need to look
Yeah.
at the license.
I can't imagine EDU and AGU are sort of police going to go look at, see people publish talks and then come crack down on us. I can't really imagine that happening, but it's worth finding out. We can always say, sorry, we didn't know, right? Because I can't imagine we're going to get in trouble. So we should make it available to a wider audience, right? There's a lot of people who can't go to these meetings or pay the fees. But that's cool. Good. Good luck on that. I was thinking of going this year, but then they moved the dates on me. And so that's the week I'm back in Hawaii for a short break. So that was really stupid. Anyway, next topic is GMT Summit plans. Okay, so this was a thought that came up because I have a bunch of money in the GMT grants for meetings and developer summits and sort of things. And then COVID happened, so we haven't done anything because we couldn't. And I'm here in Europe, and the thought was, should we try to have a in-person, called it summit, developer summits? It could be across, Core, Julia, Python, MATLAB. There's no extra people there to discuss, the future or something. Anyway, it's just all, no plans yet for this stuff. But if there was interest, I think I have money to make it happen. But it takes people wanting to travel. I'm guessing this will be, where would it be? There's some problems with where it can be. Apparently, as a visiting academic here, I'm not allowed to run workshops. I was told I can give a public lecture, and that's about it. I can't run a workshop, some sort of labor law. So we'd have to have a proxy, like Leo, setting it up or something in Liverpool that can be done, or someone else, or we have to do it in another country. We've done that before in Portugal, for instance. So we can discuss where this might be useful to have, and then who could attend and when could this happen. So I don't know. That was my thought about this. If any of you have any, other than saying I can do this week, but not that week, in general, what do you think of the concept of getting together? And to put some limits on it, the available time will be somewhere from early June to August 20th. That's the window I am here. And after that, I go back to Hawaii, and then we sell a house and we move to Norway. So then, there's no time for anything. So that's sort of the window. So June, July, most of August. All right, what do you guys think? Not everybody at once.
Here is more expensive now. It's not winter. You cannot find that the palace. You cannot go to the palace.
You can't get the palace anymore.
The palace on summer.
Yeah, that's still
cost the price of a palace.
Yes. Although we have saved up a lot of money, so I'm not sure. But there is that.
It's also if it is free. No, that one probably not. A similar one. That would be more difficult to find for the summer by now.
Yeah,
that type of thing.
I think it sounds really fun. At this point, I have no idea whether I would be able to get away for it or not. So I could let you know in a month or so.
Yeah, what I think I'll do is this is probably a good issue to post somewhere, and we'll just sort of have a discussion issue, see what can and can't be done. I mean, maybe it can't be done. Maybe people can't travel or don't want to travel. That's all fine. But if we can, it's always fun to do these things. We've done many in the past, and it's always a good time to chat and drink and eat, which is usually what we do. So if you have any thoughts about this and you want to send me an email or something like that, just do. If you have any thoughts about how this could work or not. Next item is UNAVCO short course. So it sounds like it's a little bit like the EG. You're going to pre-record the lectures for the workshop. And that's usually a 2-day thing with like 5 hours a day ish, something like that. In the past, the last 2 years, they've been online, and they've kind of been synchronous online, right? We've given it live and recorded things, meaning the lectures tend to be a little bit long-winded at times because there's no time limit. You know, we don't police people too much. So if we do the pre-recording, we can probably stick to the timeline a little bit better, or maybe even shave a little bit off because, you know, we're preparing a little bit more. But we probably need some deadlines when we should have these things done. Maybe we should look at each other's presentations even and see if anything is missing. So this
You mean
is
he has to be pre-record? Sorry, he is going to be pre-recorded this year?
Yeah, so the thought was that little lectures that we all give, usually you talk about boring points and lines text, whatever, we'll record that. And the students will then, as homework, be forced to watch all these horrible movies. And then during the workshop, we assume they've read it or watched them, and then we focus more on actually doing things with them.
You mean installing GMT?
No, the installing GMT should happen before.
No, because they are supposed to be to have seen it like they were supposed to have installed it.
But it's gotten better. I think we basically said we don't have time for you guys. If you haven't installed it by now, screw you guys, because you had 2 months to do it. And what's your problem? So we didn't have time for that because we have like 100 people, right? There's no time to help anyone with a weird Linux bug that can't install. So no, I think we assume that everybody's coming to play and they all watch the videos, and now we can go into some more details and help people with their scripts. I think that's the plan. It'll be different than last year. So we know this is the week after SciPy, which we know is in July. Ish. So you probably should have some sort of deadline in early July to have these things done, at least version 1. I mean, it shouldn't be horrible. It's usually what, half an hour or some sort of talk going over, maybe shorter. It'll be actually okay to do this, once and have them. We can recycle these for other things. And then if people can't come, then we have their last year's tape.
If we're expecting them to watch it ahead of time, I think we need to post them well before July.
Yeah, that's right.
More like early June, probably. Good
point. Not watching it on a flight like I would do. Okay, so yeah. Okay, June. So we're good. We're still in April, so early June. But we should form up that deadline and communicate that to everybody. Okay, so let's see, deadline, draft, early June. So I'm in Hawaii until June 4th, and then I fly back here.
You could record yours on the plane for some extra entertainment.
That's right. Just, argue with the neighbor, sorry, I just got to record it. I have to speak.
I'm sure no one would mind.
I can do text to voice. That works. If you want to play with that. On the Mac, you have the say command. You can have it say anything. It's pretty funny. All right. Open discussion. All right. So the bombshell news was last month that Megan will no longer work for us as a paid employee. She's gotten a good job and will no longer be a GMT postdoc. So that's sad. So we wish Megan well in her new job, but we have an issue to solve, which is what to do now in terms of the GMT funded aspect of things. So Megan, you want to just say a few things about what you're going to be doing next, so everybody kind of knows?
Yeah, so tomorrow is my last day as an employee at UH, and taking a week to, I guess, detox from computers. And then I am going to be starting as a data scientist at a nonprofit that's focused on data science and policy for climate solutions. That's
cool. It sounds important versus, what we're doing.
I will still stay involved as one of the masses of GMT community members and contributors.
Yeah, that's great. We're gonna probably have to plan at the next GMT community meeting, and then that'll be as a non-GMT employee. So it'll be interesting if you will attend. Or you'll be there with.
I'm not sure if I'll have what my personal account limit is, if we'll have 40-minute deadlines for our meeting time limit, or maybe you'll have to be the host in the future.
I'll probably have to be the host. Yeah, so we're gonna have some discussions about what to do next, and ultimately, I think I will have to make the decision on that, since I'm the one who's holding the bag and the ropes and whatever. But as most of once I'm done with my sabbatical here, it's back to Hawaii for just a few weeks to wrap things up and selling the house, and then we're moving to Norway. So if we decided, right now to start a new postdoc search based on the previous two, it takes 4 to 5 months from you start writing the ad to UH actually will allow you to be hired. And by that time, I'll be, on my way to Oslo, basically. So it's a little tricky, although not impossible. I worked with Megan remotely this whole time, right? This all happened in the depths of COVID, and she was 6 time zones away, and it hasn't been a problem at all. I would say it's worked pretty well. So I could do this from Norway, and 6 hours away will be East Coast. If you're that pushing the west, it gets worse. I have to hire someone who resides in the US for tax reasons and NSF reasons. So it's not like I can get some German guy to help. So I'm sort of stuck with, the money resides in the US. I can only hire someone there. So that's one possibility, is to, okay, we'll decide to do a postdoc search and we'll find someone, and then we'll do that. The alternative is that we instead spend the money on hiring a professional programmer to just tackle some specifics, right? It's sort of different from the training a young postdoc into the obscure things of GMT and open source and being part of the community, right? So it's a completely different goal. Here you would just hire someone who can help with, creating the next coastline version or something, where some specific skills might be needed. So I don't know, it's going to be a tricky decision to make. If you have any thoughts on this, rather than spend them all here, just send me an email if you have some specific thoughts of why we should do certain things, because I really haven't decided what to do. There's benefits to both of them. We had 2 postdocs with Leo and Megan. It's been great. So why change that recipe? But then that was when I was back in Hawaii, and the plan was actually to have someone there physically in Hawaii, and that's clearly not going to happen. So, and I can't have them in Norway. So there we are. Let's see. So yeah, let me know what you think we should do. I think, Megan, you've been with us about 18 months, right? Sort of close to that, 1.5 years.
Yep, that's right.
So that means I have at least that amount of money, time in the grant, plus one can always do a little supplement and make it 2 years, I think. So one could advertise for a 2-year position, or we spend it in other ways. That's sort of where I am. All right, that was the end of our agenda. We have a still open discussion. Anyone want to bring up any issues or comment on other issues we've already discussed? Go ahead. No, I see mute signs everywhere. Yeah, AGU. So, okay, so fall AGU. Is anyone planning to attend fall AGU? I am. Am I the only one?
Like physically, or?
Yeah, I'll physically be there, I think. I think so.
I was thinking about it. It's going to be in Chicago.
Chicago, yeah. You know, with
That sounds cold.
very well. You know, that's why I'm topping up here in Oxford, so I can tolerate Chicago. I don't know. I haven't even looked at, you know, the sessions, and I guess it's coming up. That's good. John will be there. He can. Well, I guess in the past we were discussing, you know, we should have a GMT workshop of some sort at the meeting, but I have to look at that meeting if it's. I guess it's going to be open, but you know, I can also see the sixth wave coming in August, September, and then it changes everything again. So I guess there's no way of knowing what fall AG will be. I think it's until it's sort of clear. It's hard to plan these things where you're thinking of having a fun time with people physically there, and then it turns out to be yet another Zoom thing. You know, then we might as well just have one separate from AGU, you know, and do our own thing. We could do that. I'm getting inspired by UNAVCO, which paid us to put on the UNAVCO workshops, right? You get some sort of $700 if you're able to receive it. There's that. I'm not sure if Dangdang was able to get any money in China, but they actually paying people. So maybe GMT can do something similarly if we decide to host a GMT workshop. Maybe I can, you know, offset some costs somehow, or pay people. So that's
I think it is you know, I'm not sure how the models might change going forward, but for the AGU workshops, we'd be paying them to do the work of putting on a workshop to teach people skills. I can't commit to organizing one. I think that if we all end up going to AGU, we could get together and have some sort of event, but it doesn't seem likely to me that we'll, or at least no one's expressed that they have the time or capacity to submit a proposal to formally do it through AGU.
Yeah, and it's pretty early, these things.
Yeah, I think the deadline for workshops is like end of this month or something, which is like who plans ahead that soon?
Yeah, it usually happens way before I even get to thinking about them, and then we missed the deadline already. But we did one 3 years ago with AGU, and it was kind of depressing. It attracted the wrong crowd for one thing. I think we were looking for developers wannabes, and we got a whole bunch of people who had never heard of GMT. It seemed like a little odd mixture there. So yeah, that wasn't great. And the internet sucked, as it always does at AGU. So people couldn't install things, and it was a disaster. So fond memories. All right. Anything else before we pull the plug? We've been at it for 50 minutes, so that's a pretty short meeting.
Yeah, I would just like to say if anyone has, so we're trying out this new time zone as there's been a lot of relocations in the GMT team. So if anyone has feedback about this time, please send me an email and we can try to accommodate people as best we can for the next meeting.
Yeah, it's funny. We were joking yesterday, you and me, about Weiji always being the far west person, regardless of where he is. So, you know, it used to be, it was west of Hawaii, and I was really early, and now he's west of Megan, so it's still very early. Wherever you're in Ohio, is it?
Yeah, so same time zone as Megan right now.
Oh, it is. Okay, so it's not super early. It's not like New Zealand early.
Yeah, but it actually worked out pretty well when you were in Hawaii, because it's like an hour ahead, but the day after or something.
Right. Yeah. The days was the daytime issue.
Yeah,
and
I have to make sure not to set my calendar for the day, that date, but the day after.
Yes, that's quick, isn't it? And Dangdang, what time is it right now for you?
Yeah, it's 9 p.m.
All right, so this is, you know,
yeah,
perfect.
so it's good.
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Federico, that's let's see, what time is it there?
9 a.m.
Yeah, okay,
9
so it's
a.m.
9 a.m. So it's same as Megan then, right? Coming up on 9 a.m.
Yeah, it's getting to be 9 a.m.
Yeah, so that's, you know, comfortable. All right, so that's not too bad. So when I'm in Norway, that's just 1 more hour towards Dangdang, so that makes no difference, really. So I can handle that, and Joachim stays the same. So No worries. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's been fun again. Hang in there. Send me email on opinions about summits and postdocs or hires. And if otherwise, we'll see you in a month or so. I think we'll try to aim for something once a month.
Oh, by the way, Paul, I
Yep.
put the link. I put the link to the bundle I created. It's not yet very old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where do you put it?
I could,
In the chat.
In the chat.
It's the fourth link. Yeah.
Yeah, I see it. Okay.
do you mind if I
Yes.
share that
But
in
it's-
the notes, Joachim?
Yeah. Okay. Right, okay.
Okay, so
This is
we'll
from
have that recorded.
Okay.
27 October 21. So
Yeah. 3.
not
Yeah.
even half a year old.
Yeah. Great. Thanks. That's cool. We
It's
can-
just to you to see if you can
The
access it. If you have if it has that problem that we know.
Yep. Cool. Thanks. All right. Very good. Thanks again, everybody. We'll see you in a month or so.